Hey, you guys, it is your girl Chef Chronicles here. So remember in a short that I did, I literally showed you guys how to take your wilted vegetables, well, wilted herbs that you have in the fridge, and we are going to make them come back to life so we cannot go back into the store consistently buying more herbs. Now, as you can see, I have regular curly parsley that has been wilted, and then I have two things of Italian parsley here. Now, Italian parsley is definitely used more into the kitchen because of the flavor, and curly parsley is definitely used for more of a garnish. So before we begin, we are going to go ahead and remove any, look at them, and remove any of the bad leaves that are in here. Right on both of them, well, all three of them. Any herbs that looks like it is bad, right? Same thing with the curly parsley. Okay, so after you definitely pick through it, you will definitely take the parsley and you will cut about an inch or two off of it. Make sure it's nice and tight so you can get them nice and even, so that way it can absorb the water, right? Next, we are going to go ahead and grab some ice. Now, it could be crushed ice, it could be cubed ice. I just went ahead with crushed ice, and this is a lot. And I did have it in a little container where it did freeze here. So we're just gonna leave it as that. I went ahead and filled it up with some cold water. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and submerge our parsley. Now, Italian parsley definitely could take anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how wilted it is. So, and I'm going to explain that in a second, but you see how wilted it is. So we're going to go ahead and put it in there. If you see any dead ones come up, you can just remove it. But sometimes you don't gather it all, like so. We're going to do the same thing with the other Italian parsley. And I'm going to go ahead and add in the curly parsley. Now, our curly parsley wasn't as wilted as the Italian parsley. I definitely bought them Italian parsley a little bit more wilted, so that is definitely a difference. But for the curly parsley, you definitely want to do the same thing. But curly parsley definitely could take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how wilted it is. When I did the video of the short, it took me almost all day because it was super wilted. So until the ice was melted, it got back to this. Anywho, so once it is fully submerged, the way you can tell your parsley are done is by, you're gonna see like a nice vibrant green color, and it's also going to float. Now, I did overcrowd it a little bit, so you could definitely do two at a time, one at a time. So I went ahead and did the same thing, but this time it is going to be with cilantro. I definitely separated it from the parsley, but as you can see, this has been about 10 minutes. You can see that the leaves over here are starting to float up, and that is what you're going to look for. So I will definitely be back and show you guys what it looks like after 15 minutes. This is the bonus part while we are waiting. So green onions are also another thing that I love to reuse, recycle as well. At home, you could definitely go ahead and purchase your green onions, whether it's organic or not organic. It is your preference and your choice. You will definitely cut off a little bit above the white. Let me show you. So I like to tighten mine a little bit more so that way it is not moving, but you see, you can tell where I cut it a little bit above the white. You're going to go ahead and put it into a jar that you are not using, And you're going to go ahead and add in some water, just enough to cover the roots, right? After 2 days, you definitely want to change the water. And as you can see, I have started this process for a couple of days now, and my green onions are definitely regrowing, and I can use it as many times as I want. I usually go for 2 times before I go ahead and purchase anything new. So I wanted to go ahead and start with the cilantro. So as you can see, it's been about, this one was the first one in, so about 15-30 minutes, because they weren't that wilted. You see how they are nice and bright and green, and they're floating to the top. So every time I push them, they come right back up. This is what you want to look for. You could definitely pick it up, and you could definitely feel the fresher feel from when you first buy it. Now, this is 15 minutes. I flipped it over because you don't have to, but that choice is optional, but I did flip it over, and you could definitely see that it's turning back bright and vibrant green. It's floating to the top. It definitely have that feel. You could definitely see that as well on the curly parsley. So like I said, it all depends on how wilted it is. Could definitely take anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour on either or. If it definitely is super wilted, I like to just leave it and let it go as much as I can until all the ice is completely melted. But minimum 15 to an hour, 15 to 30 minutes for Italian parsley, and 30 minutes to an hour for curly parsley, and the same thing goes for cilantro. So I'm gonna leave this, let this go until all the ice is completely melted. But once it is done, all you gotta do is use it for whatever you're using it for. It could be, you know, making a salad, soup, garnish, or anything. But a pro tip is, if after this point, when you're finished with it, you could definitely dry it off and wrap it up in a damp towel so that way it doesn't get back wilted. Or you could take like a small container, like a mason jar, fill it up with water like we did the green onions, and you could definitely leave it and let it stay hydrated and fresh in the fridge. So this is after all the ice is melted, and it's been like a couple hours, so the time is definitely a reference of how long it should be in there. But after all the ice is melted, this is what it looks like. It's nice and hydrated, and all my herbs are like, thank you, and it is ready to use. So I hope you guys like this quick and simple episode. Peace.